Look, well, let's not stand on ceremony, mate. Let's start the show.
All right, welcome to another episode of the 710 podcast. Ro, are you on the line?
I'm here.
Awesome. So what's going on?
I'm watching. The world must be listening to the 710 Squared podcast because there's a lot of stuff going on in that industry. Jelly Belly is has CBD infused jelly beans. Washington Post story reads, the product, a mashup of an adult chemical compound, CBD, and a staple of American childhoods, I find that a little bit scary statement, has been so popular that the company that created it, Spectrum Confections, helmed by Jelly Belly inventor David Klein, sold out after a spate of press coverage over the past week. Yeah, very interesting.
When you say he sold out, what do you mean?
The initial offering of this product sold out rather quickly.
Okay.
So they're already out of stock.
Okay.
Once they made it known that they were selling CBD infused jelly beans, and as the article mentions, which are a staple of American childhoods. So,
Yeah.
so the interesting part is that it's 10 milligrams of CBD per jelly bean.
Okay.
And the average serving that people use with CBD oil is about 20 milligrams. So, hey, who eats 2 jelly beans? There's going to be an overdose. I've blown through half a bag of jelly beans without even trying. So, maybe they need to cut back on that dosage.
Yeah, that's some pretty powerful jelly beans.
Maybe like 1 milligram per jelly bean, or 0.5 milligrams of CBD per jelly bean.
So what company again is doing this?
Jelly Belly. They're the ones that made those famous. I think they made the jelly beans. Ronald Reagan used to eat. If you remember, he always had a jar of jelly beans on his desktop in the Oval Office.
Wow. Wow.
And I think they're trend riders because a couple years ago, they had a caffeine-infused jelly bean. So that was kind of when the energy drink thing was big.
Okay.
So it looks like they're throwing stuff on the wall to see what sticks.
Yeah. I was at my dentist's office this week, and I saw several posters for CBD-infused creams and CBD-infused toothpaste.
Because Novocaine is so passé, right? But, it's funny because, we're joking, but both CVS and Walgreens has announced that they're going to start carrying CBD products, cream, salves, and oils in stores. I think CVS is doing like initially 11 stores.
Yeah, I saw that.
And Walgreens just announced that they're doing like 1,500 stores in like 9 states or something like that. So I don't know what the legislation is in those states, but I'm sure it's supportive of such an endeavor. But it's just very interesting.
Yeah, it just goes to show where this market is going, and it's, even though it's still not legal on the federal level, it's showing you that some of these people are taking advantage, and they're seeing the light, and they're saying, okay, well, this thing is going to be big. Let's start announcing it now and getting into it now.
It's ironic that you mentioned that, because one headline reads, CVS ignores the DEA, says it's already selling CBD products. So, apparently they see a lot of money in this to buck against the Drug Enforcement Agency.
Oh yeah. There's plenty of money in there. That's one good thing about this industry. There's no shortage of cash.
So. Not to get too conspiratorial, but a lot of covert action has been waged with illicit drug money. So maybe they're making it mainstream now.
Funding some off the books projects.
Yeah,
around the world.
They're on the books now. Yeah, And I think Snoop Dogg has rubbed off on Martha Stewart because she just made a partnership with the company to bring out a line of CBD infused products for pets.
Huh.
A
Yeah.
Canadian company.
With a Canadian company. Huh. Interesting. Because
Yeah,
Canada, even though they're legal all across the board, it is not peaches and cream over there for cannabis. It's actually still proof that this is still in its infancy because they're still going through all kinds of issues. But it sounds like you're about to say everybody's jumping into this thing.
well, not everybody, but those who are positioned to ruffle some feathers and endure it,
Mm-hmm.
and are in a position to make a lot of money, are starting up now. And so it's very interesting how it's still the wild, wild west out there, and everything, and the legalities are not clear cut. But people are getting started. People are getting started, and I think that's how it always is. People are slowly getting started, and then it's wide open. So now is definitely a good time for people to flex their entrepreneurial spirit and get involved in some capacity.
Yeah, I believe so. Because 710's website is almost done. We're getting ready to launch it probably first week of next month. That's the estimated time.
All right.
And like you said, position ourselves, because building a brand is about positioning. And being in the right position at the right time will help you to take advantage of any and every trend that's arising, I think.
No, most definitely position and momentum.
Yeah.
And momentum, no matter how small.
Yeah.
You don't want to get moving from a dead stop. You want to kind of be in motion. And even just thinking about what you're going to be doing is a good start.
Yeah.
That's how board meetings get started. They're thinking about a campaign or a product. They're thinking about how people will react. Not all of them hit. If you remember the new Coke, they got rid of old Coca-Cola for the new Coca-Cola, which ironically tasted just like Pepsi. But
and then try to play it off by, hey, we're bringing back Coke Classic.
Yeah, a throwback Coke.
And just in case those of you who don't like new Coke, we're going to bring back Coke Classic. And after a couple of years, when you've forgotten about new Coke, we're just going to quietly yank it off the shelves.
Yeah, exactly.
And just keep Coke Classic. I thought that was pretty slick.
But you know what? They were ahead of their time back then, because what do you got now? Coke Zero. They got the Coke Orange and Vanilla. They had a Coke Vanilla. So there's a market for some diversity with your products. I think they were just ahead of their time.
But I think too is because the audiences have changed. So
yeah,
because of that, I think our audiences and the generations before us, they were a lot more conservative when it came to their favorite products.
Well, I think brand loyalty had such gravitas that, the mistake was definitely getting rid of classic Coke for the new Coke. If they had kept both, I think they'd have been okay.
Yeah, well, they didn't, before they got the idea to even call it Classic Coke, it was just, okay, Coke. And they were like, hey, we got something better. It's new Coke.
Yeah.
And everybody tasted it. They're like, yeah, this tastes like shit. We want old Coke. And they said,
yeah.
Well, and then sales tanked. They said, okay, well, let's quietly bring back Coke, except we're going to rebrand it Coke Classic.
But the good scheme is to have the regular Coca-Cola, the OG Coca-Cola, and then have a limited edition run of the new Coke and give it a better name.
Yeah.
And see how people feel about it.
Yeah.
And if people respond, then you just market it as, you asked for it and we brought it back, and you bring it back, so live and learn, I guess.
Well, they've learned a lot of lessons in terms of that. You remember McDonald's and the Arch Deluxe? That was supposed to be the adult burger.
No, I missed that one.
That was 1996, 97, 98. McDonald's came out with this burger that was it was actually pretty good. It was called the Arch Deluxe.
What did it have? Is a whiskey sauce on the burger? I was in an adult burger. You know,
It
yeah,
had
I'm going one or two ways with this.
it was saltier than slightly saltier than usual. It had lettuce, tomato, and a special like white sauce. And it was actually pretty tasty. I mean, I actually used to go to McDonald's to get the Arch Deluxe. Came in a white box. And but then one day they just like, oh, this thing's not taking off. And then when you came in there and it was gone.
Yeah.
But the funny thing
And then
was certain franchises of McDonald's, like I went to a McDonald's in New York because this was in Ohio, and they had it. And I'm talking like years after they said they got rid of it, this McDonald's was still selling it.
We know they've done a lot of regional promotions and gimmicks. I mean, in the D.C. area, back in the 80s, they used to come out with the McRib sandwich, and people lost their mind over that, this McRib sandwich.
Yeah, because they still bring that out, but it's seasonal.
Yeah, but there was a while in the D.C. area, Washington, D.C., that they had the McRib was on the menu at McDonald's for a few years in a row. So yeah, they'll bring stuff out here and there, and when it loses its luster, they'll put it back on the shelf and try it again. Do they still have McGriddles?
I'm not sure. I haven't eaten McDonald's in 5 years, so for me,
Yeah.
So,
I think I gave up McDonald's when they was putting their hamburgers in styrofoam packages, and there was a hole in the ozone layer. It was that like 89 and 90s.
Oh wow,
I'm an OG environmentalist.
Oh yeah, you've given up on it a long time. I'm wondering though, will they like come out with, especially since you have CBD recipes now and CBD chefs? Like I'm anticipating, will the burger companies come out with like a CBD burger? And they put some
burger with truffle and CBD oil drizzled on top.
Yeah, they put some hemp oil on it or some CBD oil, and they call it like the Mac hemp or the Mac herb or the McJoint. I mean, I can't think of all the names they could possibly come up with.
Hey, it's wide open. Hey, look, I owe the audience a product. I came up with Weed on Wheels. I said that was mine, but I'm gonna give them a product right now. Steak sauce infused with CBD oil. There you go. You're welcome. You're welcome. You can have that one. You're welcome. Whoever gets it out first, you're welcome. Tell me that wouldn't be delicious.
Yeah.
Or better yet, salad dressing. God, I'm on fire. Whoever out there can do steak sauce, CBD oil infused, and a salad dressing with CBD. And that just works because salad and CBD, that's a match made in heaven. There you go. You got it. I expect to see that in the next year.
I'm actually imagining that, like getting some CBD in steak sauce, like actually going to a store and seeing CBD infused steak sauce.
There you go.
Because I drink CBD infused soda. So steak sauce is really not that far off for CBD infused salad dressing.
Can't you see it?
Yeah, I can.
The salad dressing is really working for me.
That's why I'm laughing.
It's all greenery. It's all green, man. You know.
What about CBD infused hand sanitizer? Like you just touch something real dirty, you're like, God damn it. And then you rub the thing on, all of a sudden you start feeling mellow again. You're like, yeah, my hands are clean.
That's cool
until you get pulled over for that speeding ticket.
Pulled over that speeding ticket, you know, and police officer wants to run a dog by there. Well, you got something you want to tell me about? No, but my hands are clean.
Oh man, that is hilarious. But the funny thing is, I don't think any of this shit is far fetched.
No, it's all coming, and it's all coming. I mean, and whoever does it first will reap the benefit. We're on the verge of this revolution of a paradigm. I mean, all this stuff was illegal not too long ago, and unfortunately, there's still people doing a lot of time in prison.
In prison, yeah.
You know, and it just shows you that nothing is impossible if you're just positioned. You can make money legally at something that was putting people in prison currently. we're on the verge of a revolution, and as silly as it sounds, CBD salad dressing, you'll see it.
Well, they already got it. Like some of these chefs, I don't know if it's in a bottle, but these chefs are making it. Like I've seen some of these shows, and they'll make like CBD vinaigrette and CBD mustard, and like you infuse with CBD butter. But I haven't actually seen a packaged product. I think that's what I'm getting.
It's like
at.
mambo. It's like mambo sauce. For those listeners who aren't in the DC area, there's something called mambo sauce in DC. It's been here forever. It's like a sweet, tangy barbecue sauce that put it on your wings and everything. And you had to know which restaurants had it. You had to go to these restaurants to get your wings and mambo sauce or get mambo sauce. People were saving these little containers of mambo sauce that came with their takeout. And recently, there's companies that are now, I think there's 2 that I've seen that are selling mambo sauce, which you would wonder why wasn't this done 20 years ago? But for whatever reason, it's being done now. So it's, there's no reason that CBD salad dressing and steak sauce and yum yum sauce can't be offered now. Why should it just be the domain of the gourmet chef to provide such a culinary delight? You should have it in your own home. You should have it in your home and use it at your leisure.
That's hilarious. But it's coming. All this stuff is coming in terms of the packaging. So, but I think I should have some of the designers design some packaging for CBD steak sauce and CBD mambo sauce and what was the other one?
Oh yeah, you see, yum yum sauce.
Yum sauce and salad. Yeah, that's right. Just design some packaging, some bottles, put that out there.
And French fries. So, have you ever had French fry sauce?
I thought that was ketchup.
Nah, French fry sauce is like this.
I thought that was ketchup all this time.
To the more pedestrian diner, yes.
Oh,
but
okay.
yeah, ketchup, French fry sauce is like, I don't know what it is. It's this yellow sauce, and it's so good on a French fry. I haven't had it in like 5 years, but there was this burger joint that used to have it with their burgers, and you go in there and get a burger, and there was this place called Stage Burger. It was this one-off restaurant. It wasn't a chain, but they had this French fry sauce. Oh, so amazing. So add that to the list.
French fry sauce, huh? CBD infused.
Yeah.
French fry sauce.
Let's go all out. Let's just do it up. A CBD vinaigrette.
Yeah, I think they already got that. I'm not sure if it's in a package though.
I didn't. It would beat them to it.
That is hilarious.
Well, here's another one. Almonds in dark chocolate and CBD oil. There you go.
They got the chocolate CBD products. They might have something like that because they even got some luxury chocolate CBD products. So that they might already have. Godiva's doing
CBD chocolate.
No, it's some other company that I've never heard of before. I don't think the Godiva has jumped into this industry yet. But it's just a matter of time.
In my bartending days, Godiva had a chocolate liqueur.
Yeah, I do remember that. I do remember seeing that.
So it ain't too far fetched.
No, it's not.
They've already dabbled into the substances.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I don't think that's far fetched at all.
Yeah, and Martha Stewart's got a little edge to her because she did time, so maybe that's why.
And plus her homeboy is Snoop Dogg, so.
Yeah, Snoop rubbed off on her, and she been on it. She was in the Bing for a minute, so she did.
She was in the Bing.
Yeah, she was in the Bing, you know what I'm saying, Kat? She was in the Bing, you know what I'm saying? She ain't had no football numbers, but she was in there. You know what I'm saying?
That's hilarious.
She was in a shoe, you know what I'm saying? So
that's hilarious.
So she's representing a culture, and I think that's gonna be very significant because it breaks the stereotype, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure. But I'm sure Snoop is definitely going to get her involved in, if he hasn't already, on a
I
grand
bet she
scale.
hires him.
As
I bet she
a
hires
consultant.
him as a spokesperson. As a spokesperson in a commercial.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, we got to slow our roll there because commercials are still not allowed.
Oh, she'll get it done. She'll be on QVC selling it.
Yeah, I think that eventually will happen, but I think we're ways away still from that because we still have quite a few restrictions. AdWords, Facebook. None of these. I'm not even going to talk about radio or TV. None of these places you can buy ad space or airtime for anything marijuana related. So we still have a long way to go as far as that's concerned.
Well, I don't know because I think last show we talked about there was a time you couldn't advertise liquor on billboards or on TV commercials, and now you have both. So I mean, the precedent has already been set that for these adult substances, for lack of a better term, they can be advertised. I see this thing taking off like a rocket when it finally gets positioned to do so, and people are going to want to be available to take full advantage of things when they change.
I think though, with the whole, some of these stick up the ass congressmen and senators, they from the old guard, they're going to be talking about, we got to save the children. We can't have the children seeing ads for marijuana, because some of them are still on this a gateway drug.
Well, we got Ocasio-Cortez. She'll fix it.
The funny thing was, I was thinking the same thing. I was just thinking about AOC, and I was saying to myself, the whole Senate and Congress are probably all going to need a shot of CBD or some kind of CBD infused product after dealing with her ass, because she's just been taking them to town.
That's the real Green New Deal right there. AOC said, stunting is a habit. Get like me.
That is hilarious. Because their faces, I don't know if you saw her, I think it was yesterday, she was chewing them out about global warming and the people in Flint. And she was even talking about some kids in the Bronx that were suffering from lead poisoning. I hadn't never even heard of them. By the time she was done, I mean, she was great. But I was thinking some of them could probably use some sativa. Well, actually, no, some indica. Sativa, get them all hyped. Some indica.
Yeah, take the edge off that session. Relax a little bit.
Yeah, to deal with that shellacking that she gave him.
Yeah, well, this chick off the hook, man.
Yeah. Well, you see, you already have a nickname.
Where my split that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think that's probably what what they're going to use to restrict TV advertising. They're still going to be they're still going to be coming from the perspective of, what about the children? Yeah. We don't want to influence the children. I was like, the children are already smoking this shit.
Yeah,
they've been smoking it.
we need them to grow up healthy to join the military.
One of my friends was telling me about, there was something they have in the military that's marijuana infused called Spice, and it doesn't show up that doesn't show up in the test because it's not actually marijuana, but it gives you the same effect.
That's not government issue now. That is someone's recreational habits does not reflect the policies or methodologies of the Department of Defense.
True. But I heard they were having some problems.
I've seen Marines do all kind of goofy shit that was never approved. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because this friend of mine's in the Navy. Actually, yeah, you know.
Ain't no names, Jack.
I'm not. He's not in the military. He's not in the military anymore. But he was saying when he was in the military that people were smoking this thing called Spice, and he said, technically it's not. It doesn't show up in the test. Yes, it's synthetic. It doesn't show up in the tests.
Man. You just have a habit of reporting for duty asshole naked and sweating profusely.
Yeah, and he was saying they couldn't discipline some of these people because they didn't test positive for anything that was on their list of of banned substances. So that's actually pretty interesting. You remember the movie Deep Cover with Lawrence Fishburne and
Jeff
Goldblum, yeah, and he had that
Yeah.
synthetic cocaine that he was trying to push
Yeah.
that didn't show up on anything but got you high at the same time.
Or one of my personal favorites, Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man.
Oh, you going way back with that.
With Blue Dream, them blue chunks of Jello.
Yeah, that's right.
That was that. I mean, where is that at? You know, that never arrived. That and flying cars, we never got that one. The poor Giancarlo Esposito got killed over Blue Dream, shot up the whole place.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, those guys that showed up in the trench coats, head to toe.
Baldwin in his trench coat, buddies.
Yeah, one of the Baldwin brothers. Yeah.
That movie is 2 inches away from being a great classic film rather than being goofy as hell, you know. Because, you know, Mickey Rourke and Don Johnson, come on now. That's like the damn Laurel and Hardy of the 21st century or the
That's
20th.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. But it's just interesting, though. Like, you have all these, just how long marijuana has been such a part of the culture for so long, and its politics is the reason why it's, you know, was given the Schedule I classification, and all these people have been locked up and put in jail, not even for distribution, for possession.
Yeah.
They need
Well,
to release. They need to release. You know, these people. I mean, you can't.
You know,
You can't have people spend a third of their lives or however long they've been in there for possession, and then you're all about to legalize it, or it's already legal state-wise, and you still have people in jail who were there for possession, not even distribution.
But, you know, it all comes down to cash flow. You know, if they can't make a profit off of it in the market, then they'll lock you up and make a profit off of warehousing you. You know, and if you become a rival and they can't, and you cut into their profits, then they'll go ahead and take you out there. You know, and when you get brought up on charges, if you had the right lawyer, you could have got out of that. You know.
Yeah. Speaking of who got off, did you hear about Jesse Smollett?
I ain't touching that one.
No.
I'm not touching that one. But I tell you what, look. Well, I'm gonna touch it a little bit, but when that happened, I said that ain't real. Especially when he said, the guy said, "Are you?" Well, I ain't gonna say what he said, and he hit him, and he said, "So I hit his ass back." I said, "Fights don't go like that."
No, they don't.
That's how you write a fight on a TV show. That ain't how fights happen in real life. Don't nobody hit you, and then you get to hit their ass back, and it's like that's a scene. That ain't life.
Especially not two people built like those two Nigerian guys.
Hey, and not in 20 below zero weather. Everything hurts more in the cold.
Because I had a friend from Chicago, and he was saying he knew the story was bogus from the beginning. He said because he said if you've ever lived in Chicago or you from Chicago, he said nobody's out there at that time of night just looking for somebody to beat up. He said because it's too cold.
Let me tell you something. My last real fight was in 2002 on New Year's Day. I was a doorman at a nightclub on U Street in D.C., and this guy, I had to put him out, and he tried to come back through the door, and he shoved me, and I went back with him, and he threw a punch, and I slipped and swept his leg with a sotogari for you judo and jiu-jitsu guys out there. And I had this guy, he was ass over head because he fell in one of these planters by this tree. So I had swept him in that, but I had just moved back to D.C. from California, so I didn't have any winter clothing because it's January, and I had this thin little corduroy jacket on because that was in style back then, and I'm shivering. And I'm looking at this guy. I'm trying to come off as intimidating as possible. And I said, if you bring your little ass back here for dinner, I'm gonna knock you the fuck out. And so it's it's everything hurts more when you're cold.
Yeah.
And it's real hard to be intimidating when
Yeah.
you're cold.
Yeah.
You might want to kill somebody, but if it's 25 degrees outside, you're going to reschedule that shit.
Yeah.
But when that thing happened, I said, that ain't real. That's phony. And about a week later, I said, somebody put him up to that. And so somebody big put him up to this because he's a goofy dude, and those Nigerian brothers with some, bodybuilder trainer goofy dudes that bought the damn bleach and rope on a credit card on a security camera.
Yep.
The hour before they did the shit. So I said, somebody told him to do this, and it's perfect plausible deniability because he's a goofy guy with a drug habit. You can always say, I don't know. He's goofy. He did this shit. I have no connection. But the way they dropped him 16 felonies, was it 16 felonies?
Yeah, it was about something like that. Yeah, yeah.
The way they dropped them that fast, somebody at the top is pulling some strings for that kid. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, I don't know. Well, definitely somebody at the top. But here's what's interesting. Trump came out or tweeted today that he's going to have the feds investigate the case because he doesn't understand how Jesse got off, and I thought how interesting coming from him.
But see, that's what I'm saying. There's somebody. I know who. I'm not going to say it because I'm not going to ruin this show. But I want this show to be on for a while. If I can say what I know, this show. Look, but somebody in government reached out to Mr. Daniels, who got this kid to do this thing, and now the top guy in the government is going to look into it. But let's not forget, there's two issues going on. One is the bogus hate crime and the assault, and the other is that letter with the powder that he got sent 2 weeks before. So that's being investigated by the FBI and the postal inspectors because that came in through the mail. So the suspicion is that he sent it to himself.
I heard that he did send it. I heard that he did send it to himself.
Yeah, but so we have on the one side. The thing is, the case in Chicago, the charge is being dropped for that bogus 10 hours of community service for the fake assault. But then there's also this letter, and the FBI is looking into it as well as the postal inspectors. And people might sleep on the postal inspectors. Them guys don't play. They're serious with stuff. Anything that comes to that mail, the postal inspectors are like Sherlock Holmes. They might hand it off to the DEA or the ATF, but they will get their man. So, Mr. Smollett is still in peril, and he better call in some favors because he's a patsy, just like Lee Harvey Oswald. I think this young guy got put up to this, and he's a patsy, and he's taking a rap, and he's taking a fall for someone else's agenda, and his career is over.
I don't know. I don't know because if he beat 16 counts after what he did.
Well, he didn't beat. No, somebody at the top who set this up.
No. I'm with you on that, but I think that just the fact that he's free when he should not be based on what happened.
But they're taking him off the show, right?
Yeah, I heard that. But then again, who knows? But there's just been so much CBD worthy news. It's been stressing people out where you're just saying to yourself, I need an infusion of CBD right now, whether it's my CBD soda or just something salad dressing. Yeah, something to just take the edge off of all this shit that I'm reading right and seeing right now because it's just nuts.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot going on, but there always has been. There's always has been a lot going on.
You hear about Cardi B?
Well, that's a prize fool.
That's
because the first rule. That's a prized fool.
Oh.
That's the type of fool that gets given a prize for how stupid they are. Because the first rule of the game is don't write nothing down, and after that is don't record nothing. You gonna confess to felonies.
Yeah. You talking about Cardi? Because the fact that she confessed to all this stuff on tape inadvertently.
got emotional and confessed to some felonies. you already beat the odds with your no talent ass. You got Bruno Mars with you, and you got a career. You beat the odds. You was a stripper in a hole in the wall strip club, and now you're the biggest thing in the world. God loves you. How you gonna ruin it? God is up there shaking his head like, I knew I shouldn't have gave her.
I think God is like, you know what, y'all need to pass me some CBD salad dressing.
I think he got all he need. He made the stuff, but he made it. I think he cool. I knew I should have gave that to somebody else.
Man, she's messaging because I heard she used to drug men and then rob them.
Well, that's an old hustle though.
No, but it's out now, and she's catching heat for it because they're saying, okay, if Bill Cosby drugged women and had sex with them, and you pretended to have sex with men, drugged them, and then robbed them, and he's in jail, how are you any different?
But
her excuse was, oh, I have a past, and I'm like, well, that's not really good enough because he had a past too, but he's in jail for his past.
But here's the difference: Bill Cosby. And this is harsh, but there comes a time that there's a price on your persona and your actions and your productivity level, and there comes a time where you're worth more dead than alive, right? Bill Cosby's worth more in prison than he is out here not making TV shows, right? But you could have done this to him in the 80s. He was worth more on TV. I hate to say it, but Prince is worth more dead than alive. Unfortunately, a recording artist sells more records when they die than at the end of their career.
Yeah, posthumously.
And Cardi B is still making money right now. This whole thing is going to disappear like Harvey Weinstein did. There's too much money involved. Cardi B ain't going nowhere. They're going to sweep this under the rug. We got to be careful with the 24-hour news cycle because what happened to Venezuela?
Yeah. Well, I heard Russia. I know we're turning 710 into a news reporting cycle today.
Okay.
Russia sent. That's hilarious. Russia sent troops to Venezuela. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yesterday. But you know what happened a month ago?
Mm-mm.
They sent their mercenaries or contractors to Venezuela when this thing first popped up. So they were already entrenched, had their sectors of fire mapped out. Had everything mapped out so that if it did go hot, they could stabilize Venezuela. But all I'm saying is that was the biggest issue in the world, and now it disappeared because it didn't go the way somebody wanted, and now they need it to go away. And this whole Cardi B thing's gonna fade away, just like Weinstein and Bryan Singer faded away. And Corey Feldman out there made a documentary about Hollywood guys molesting kids that they suppressed. And then he out here talking about, well, I saw Finding Neverland. I can't look at Michael Jackson the same. So who got to you? That's so
like I said, too many CBD worthy news events going on that require some sedation, some self-induced sedation.
Hey. And it's only getting worse out there with these type of stories. So go ahead and hurry up and get that CBD steak sauce, because I'll buy that.
I know somebody takes his cannabis in a vape that's odorless and smokeless, and takes it to work, and they cannot seem to stress him out when he's at work because he has his anti-stress tools. Although that's THC, that's not CBD. But
I'd be afraid of that because there's got to be chemicals involved that keep it from smoking and stuff like that. I would.
Well, it's the vape pen. The vape pen works. They have different types of these things. So some are smokeless, some have smoke. So really, it really depends on what kind of gadget you have, and what what it does.
I saw this one guy with a vape, and he inhaled, and when he exhaled, it looked like Puff the Magic Dragon. he had a plume 30 feet long of smoke. I said, that is amazing.
They had a guy who was able to do all these tricks with the smoke on YouTube. Like he was making circles, he was making letters from the alphabet. He was doing all kinds of unimaginable things with his mouth with the smoke. And Drake saw him, and Drake invited him to his house in L.A. to basically teach him, from private lessons. Okay, how are you doing this? But it was actually pretty amazing, like to see. I don't remember what the guy's name is, but it's on YouTube. To see that guy, some of the things he could do with the vape smoke, because you're right, the vape smoke is way more intense than I think even a blunt or a joint in terms of the amount of smoke.
It doesn't look like a human being could contain that much smoke in his lungs. It just keeps going. It's the most amazing thing. I thought something was on fire the first time I saw it. I was finna dial 911, but I didn't want to get nobody in trouble. When I figured out what was happening.
How the hell do you make alphabet letters with vape smoke with your mouth? I'm still trying to figure that out, because you should see the stuff that this guy can do with vape smoke. I mean, it looks like CG from the Avengers or something. Like this is all just this is augmented. This is augmented reality. This is not.
They call Cirque du Soleil and add him to the lineup.
Yeah, this is. Yeah. He could have been. I mean, he could have basically had his own segment.
There's still hope. A CBD inspired Cirque du Soleil show. There you go.
That is hilarious. That is hilarious. But it just goes to show there's today getting a name for yourself and getting attention is really about content creation and having something that people want to see and then creating content around that. The days of, because it's really about getting people to come to you. Because I'm sure if that guy had contacted Drake, say, "Hey Drake, look at all the animal cookie animals I can make with my smoke and alphabets," and he'd have been like, "Yeah, okay." But when he went ahead and created all this content, put it on YouTube, and he attracted this interest, all this celebrity interest, where they're like, "Hey, you need to come and teach me how to do this magic that you're performing here, because this is magical." And when you translate that to business, for any kind of business or anybody on here listening to that, today it's all about getting customers to come to you around building a culture, because also one part of branding is building a culture around your brand. And one guy that's built an amazing culture around his brand, even though it's not marijuana, is you've heard of C.T. Fletcher?
Of course, and it's still your
motherfucking set.
I command you
to grow.
That's right. Yeah.
Although that line could be used for a weed grower.
Somebody need to sign him up for ad campaign for the cannabis, and he's over there standing above a field of I command you
to grow.
I'm the ball.
Now that's hilarious.
Let me call CT. I say, "Look, brother, we gonna put you on a ad campaign with the same lines and gimmicks,
Because all his brand collateral, his T-shirts, he has his own protein shakes and amino drinks and all this stuff, and it's the acronym for "It's Still Your Motherfucking Set."
ISYMFS.
There you go on the side of it, and then he has his gym, the Mighty IAG. You at the Mighty IAG with old bench presses with the leathers kind of torn, but again, people go there because it just goes to show people go to will go to just about anything depending on how much they like the person behind the brand or the brand.
And he's so successful with with people. He's now has celebrities coming to him
Tons.
appear on his show.
Tons.
You know?
Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock.
The Rock,
Terry Crews.
Terry Crews.
He's even attracted, of course, bodybuilders. You know, Simeon Panda, Cali Muscle. A ton of people.
Yeah. Craig Monson, for those who are affiliated.
Yeah, a ton of people. And again, but you see, what's the key word there? Coming to him.
But you know, he was so passionate about who he was and what he stood for that it was infectious. That enthusiasm was
true.
infectious.
Yeah.
And it it just pulled everybody. I mean, who else was like? I mean, only the person I can think like C.T. Fletcher was Rich Piana when he was alive, and Cali Muscle, who's kind of gone in a different direction. But just that enthusiasm and honesty for what they were doing really just took a dopey guy, no offense, and made him so irresistible, because the one thing the average person doesn't have is enthusiasm in their life about anything these days.
That's true.
They almost live vicariously through these people who are dedicated to what they're doing, which on the face of it is goofy. You're just lifting weights. But they're so enthusiastic
and
and
so passionate about it. Yeah.
And they're such subject matter experts, and they have such a storied history in various aspects of this endeavor that you just get so much. You learn from them, you get advice from them. Their stories are funny, crazy. They're almost your hero. Like, I wish I could be bold and brave enough to do what they're doing. And so in that way, everyone has a story to market themselves and their product. It's just, do you have the guts to do it?
Yeah.
You have the guts to stand out there on Front Street and say something like, I command you to grow.
And then
You're not in charge. I'm in charge of you, motherfucker.
And then and then all the weed in your grow room starts to grow.
Make up your own catchphrase and run with it. Rich Piana had 5% nutrition, and he had a whole philosophy behind 5%ers. 5% of the people in the world are going to do whatever it takes to be successful, and it just didn't apply to bodybuilding. It applied to whatever you were doing, martial arts or painting or being the best.
5%. He's being generous. I think it's less than that today.
Yeah, well, I think the 5 look better on T-shirts than 5%ers. But
Yeah.
but I mean, so these are just some examples. And Cali Muscle was a guy that was in prison multiple times and came out and and has his, now he plays video games online and makes a fortune. But it's just examples of people who weren't afraid. Yeah, he was doing bodybuilding and bodybuilding shows, and then he was doing commercials and making these little short films, and now he just plays like Fortnite and stuff on his YouTube channel. And I think he is about to hit 3 million subscribers, which is just phenomenal. But people, these guys weren't afraid to be out front and be so genuine and honest that it was absolutely irresistible. Because on the face of these 3 individuals, with Cali Muscle, C.T. Fletcher, and Rich Piana, it's just some goofy dudes, but they were so genuine with what they were doing and how they were doing it that it was absolutely irresistible. And there's a lesson to learn for anybody that wants to bring themselves and their product to market to follow in those footsteps, and they're proof that it can be done.
Yeah, because they created a real culture. I mean, just like what you just said, to piggyback, for lack of a better term, off of what you just said, they created a real culture around Iron Addicts Gym?
Iron Addicts Gym, yeah.
Yeah.
Rich Piana's been dead for like 2 years, 1.5 years, and people are still tremendously dedicated to that brand he built. So that's just, Rich Piana had a lot of issues, you know what I'm saying?
Well, CT, anybody that doesn't know CT Fletcher had, triple bypass surgery? And twice, yeah, and he was pronounced dead at one point, and he, lost all his strength, lost everything, and then basically built this. 'Cause I first heard about him on Netflix. That was the first time. I'd never heard of him before. and they had a documentary on him about him on Netflix, and I just fell in love with his story because his story was just amazing.
Yeah.
Because the doctor basically told him, was like, yeah, you're not ever gonna do this again. But he found a way to basically get back into his passion, and then he brought all these other people with him, and he just built this culture. Because when you see the T-shirts, when you see the like I said, he has supplements now, and he has all kinds of stuff. All of that came about from one word: passion.
And his basic philosophy was, if I died doing what I love, I can't imagine a better way to lead this life.
Yeah.
So how many people are that dedicated?
Yeah. I mean, truly an amazing story. And he was given. He also does motivational speaking. So he goes to.
Oh yeah.
I've seen him go to schools. I've seen him go to corporate events, and he'll pump you up.
Oh yeah, and he actually had a supplement company that went under. And
yeah, I think they did mention that in the mentioned that in the documentary on Netflix. I do remember that.
He dusted himself off and took the lessons he learned and started all over again. And there's a lot to be learned from that as well, you know.
Yeah. And so for anybody listening, if you fail, it's not the end.
You know, Cali Muscle, he's reinvented himself 4 times. And so these are just examples of how, you know, failure isn't really failure. It's just intensive learning, as I like to put it. Mm-hmm. And you can't be afraid to reinvent yourself when the time comes. You know, it's because it's the end of the road doesn't mean it's the end of your journey.
Yeah.
You get on another road.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So speaking of like CT's branding and his packaging, and he seems to use a lot of grays and blacks and those types of colors, you have a lot of experience with packaging and labeling.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you talk to us a little bit about how you chose what you're using with your I don't want to call it supplements. What would be the word you would use, Ro?
Well, just products.
Products. There you go.
But you know, the most important thing is I had help. I know what I'm good at and what I'm not good at.
Correct.
You know, I remember I watched one of those Dirty Harry movies, one of those Clint Eastwood movies, and he says, you know, a man's got to know his limitations. And I think I might have been 12 when I saw this on television. This might have been Magnum Force, one of those Dirty Harry movies. And you know, he always had those catchphrases, and he said, "A man's got to know his limitations." And at 12 years old, that hit me like a freight train because it didn't mean that, well, there's just things you're not going to be able to do. To me, it meant if you know what you're not good at, you'll get help at that and you won't waste your time. And so, you know, getting people who know about color palettes and which colors identify more with people and which colors don't alarm people. You know, if you have chamomile tea, you don't want to put in a bright orange container. You know, it's just, you know, a bright red container. That's going to be like alarming. You want something soothing. And so, you know, getting someone that understands graphic design and color palettes and how best to arrange colors together, because ultimately, if you come out with a series of products under one company, you're going to want those colors to repeat and have a commonality.
Yeah.
You know, and these are all things that I've learned. But the most important aspect is the integrity of what you're doing and your product. And you've got to stand on that fast with anyone you're dealing with designing things for you. It's your story. It is my opinion. It's your story. It's your product. This is your mission. And while people have the technical expertise, this is your thing, and you're going to have to stand on it and be insistent that certain things stay present in the designs, the logo or certain verbiage. And if it doesn't work, you can always rebrand.
Well, as a resident branding guy, let me echo what you just said, because when you were talking about the story, a brand really is nothing without a story. A product, I wouldn't even go as far as saying a brand, because a brand implies that you already have all those ducks in a row. A product is nothing without a story. When Transformers came out back in the early 80s, like when the cartoon was on TV and the toys would hit the shelves, like before it came to America, it was in Japan, and it was in Japan under some generic
Diaclone.
name. Yeah, and
Diaclone.
and it had like the characters had no stories. Like Megatron had no story, Optimus had no story. I don't even think they had the same names. And
Well, they were actually vehicles piloted by human beings.
Yeah,
and the human beings would drive them and turn them into robots and walk around. So they weren't even robots.
Yeah,
Like sentient.
yeah. And when they decided, Hasbro decided, okay, we're gonna launch this thing in the U.S. They had to basically change the color schemes, the different characters. They had to give them all a backstory. What's Megatron's backstory? What's Optimus's backstory? And all the other, slew of characters. And when you think about it, if you pick up a toy and there's no story behind it, I mean, it could be the coolest looking toy, it could do the most amazing thing. If it has no history, it has no weight, like it has no meaning.
Exactly. And I told a fella over the weekend, because I was helping him with some advice on how to bring a product to market, and I was telling him, people never remember what you say; they remember how you made them feel when you said it.
Yep.
And in my day, our day, when you got a toy, it was a toy, and you added your imagination. But with like Transformers, as you're saying, they provided a story and a lore and a mythos for your imagination to really run with, and it actually helped.
Yeah.
And I remember the way I played prior to the 80s and the toys of the 80s, in the 70s, how I played and how I played in the 80s, and it just went to light speed because this world was built to inhabit.
Yeah, because even like He-Man, like when they came out with He-Man, they had to craft stories around all these characters, and He-Man had eventually, by the time that the franchise ran dry, they had probably over 100 characters.
Yeah,
and each one, when you flip the box over, it had a story,
and they all worked.
Yeah, because if it didn't have a
worked.
story, I remember you had characters like, well, this was towards the end when they were just getting desperate. They had characters like Moss Man, and this guy had moss all over his. It felt like a felt character, and he was green. How ironic, he was green.
You know what? Because CT, he commanded him
to grow. Yeah. And he had his little backstory, because otherwise it was just if he didn't have a story, it was just, okay, some Masters of the Universe character that had no weight. It's just like even like those kung fu movies, or some of those movies where, actually even Transformers, like when you see those Transformers that didn't have any names, or there was nothing associated with them, and they get killed off or they get shot, and you're like, oh, some meaningless character got killed off because there was no story behind, or neither of them. So it's the same thing with your product. You're putting your product on the shelf. What is the story behind this? People don't buy products because at the end of the day, there's so many people offering the same thing. They buy emotional attachment, they buy relatability, they buy story, they buy brands.
And that's why when you said weight, that's such a significant term, because it is the weight of the emotionality. And I don't mean emotionality like, just crying and stuff. Like, why do you wear Pumas over Nikes? Why did you pick up this one over that one?
Yeah.
And in a store full of the same thing, basically, what is it about this one that you're loyal to that, or you feel like that's the one to buy, or it is a better quality, or even though it's not as expensive as the other one, you think that's better? And it's the weight of the story and the integrity of the product by whoever made it. You can tell looking at products which one was zipped off of the assembly line and which one has, as you said, a weight. Which one was made by someone who really cared about this and wanted you to have the best they could bring you.
Well, speaking of that, like when you talk about, which one was the better made product, what is Germany known for when it comes to manufacturing?
Oh, well, cars and firearms, there's tight tolerances, very well made.
Keyword
You
right
know,
there. Well made.
yeah,
I was at an Audi dealership, and I'd been to, some. I'd been to a Lincoln dealership. I'd been to, a bunch of different American car dealerships. And, you open the glove box and you open, some of the different compartments. And you don't think anything of it until you go to a German made car, be it Audi, Mercedes. And then you open the same glove box and the way it comes down, like you could tell, it doesn't just drop. Like it almost shimmies down. I mean, it's just so much thought has gone into the design of this thing. And not just the design, but the mechanics of how they're like, okay, yes, this thing, you press it, it opens up so I can put my stuff in the glove box. But the way that it opened, the way that it closed, the noise that it made, the way the door opened, the way the door closed, the noise that it made, all that stuff. That's why they always say it's the little things. All those
yeah,
little things went into the engineering and development. And that's what makes people loyal to those brands, because they say, okay, this is very well made. And you can see it by just opening the door, opening the glove box, opening the compartments. The little clicking sound each thing makes in some cases. Some cases, the man doesn't even make a sound. It's just so well made, compared to Lincoln or, some other cars. Although Lincoln stepped up their game this year or last year with their new SUV, the new Navigator. I mean, that thing looks like it was rated
yeah. They got
it was rated the best SUV of basically of that year. I mean, that's how much refinement went into it.
And they have some bold designs, and that's something that's been missing from the auto industry since I say the last year they made beautiful cars is 2002, because that's the last year they made the Trans Am. But the bold styling has been missing from cars. They all look the same at this point. So, yeah, Lincoln has done some amazing things on how their cars just look.
And one brand that I think has suffered tremendously about looking the same is Lexus. Because
Yeah,
in the 90s, when you saw a Lexus, it was a distinct looking car. I don't care if it was a GS3, GS4, LS 400, the Lexus Land Cruiser. All these cars looked unique and distinct. I mean, when you saw it, you knew it was Lexus.
yeah,
Today, like you just said, they all have the same bubble-looking lights, the same ugly fish mouth front bumper. They all look the same. There's nothing distinguishing. I don't know who's designing for Lexus, but they need to be fired. Like when you think of what they were like in the 90s. 'Cause I think the 90s was their golden era, because they had some
yeah,
classic looking
yeah.
cars.
They did.
One brand that has never messed up when it comes to design is Mercedes.
That's true.
Especially the outside. Now the interior used to be very boring, although they've stepped up their game tremendously in the interior, because BMW I think used to crush them on the interior, but the exterior, you can see a
Yeah,
1991 Mercedes convertible. If it's well kept, well maintained, it still looks good.
yeah, yeah. It's very true.
So,
But whereas if you put a Toyota Corolla next to a Hyundai Elantra, next to a Kia, whatever, next to a Ford Fiesta, if you look at the back, it looks like the same car. The
yeah,
only thing different is the logo in the middle.
yep, yep. So again,
If
for anybody,
if they're all four blue, that's the same car with a different logo.
pretty much, yeah.
And I hate Hyundai's logo because it looks like someone left a Honda logo in the sun and it kind of melted, leaned to one side. Like, what are they thinking with that?
Oh, that's hilarious.
It does, though. What are they thinking? And too many of those logos look exactly alike.
The same, yeah.
They're in the same place. It's the same type of scheme. It's just corny. That's why I miss Pontiac so much. That red arrow with that star, or whatever that was in the middle, was just so beautiful, and it worked with the car. It just like the shape of the car went into that logo in a lot of cases, as opposed to just being like I don't know. Some Mercedes have like the Mercedes logo, that little peace sign gimmick. They have the hood ornament, and then down in the grill they have one, and then on the lower corner they got another. It's like you got 3 logos in the same. Yeah, I don't care for that.
It's different styling, but it's the same. When you look at it, it's the same emblem. It's just that it's being displayed in the same way. Sorry, it's being displayed in a different manner in each day. But I have seen that. But again, at this point, with the level of brand loyalty that Mercedes has, I mean, their customers don't care.
No, not at all. No.
The customers don't care at all. BMW used to be that logo that they have is the plane propeller spinning because they used to build engines back in World War II, and that's how the company started. And then when Hitler and the Nazis lost, and they didn't need to make planes anymore, and then they shifted to making cars. But originally, that's what that logo is. It's basically a propeller spinning really fast through the sky. That's what you're looking at. But again, they also have a BMW driver or a BMW enthusiast is very different in terms of the customer profile than somebody who drives a Mercedes.
Yeah, I can see
two completely different customer profiles, customer personas, and it's amazing because they're all still in the luxury brand market.
Now, let me ask you this question, because I personally think Kia needs to change their name because they got that Optima. That Optima is bad, and that Stinger. I don't know if you've seen a Stinger. It's like this 4-door jacked up sports car version. But you got an Optima and a Stinger, and
let me look up the Stinger while you're talking about it. Let me look it up on my phone.
The Stinger has stylings that almost a throwback to some 70s vehicles. It's got like a fastback design.
I'm not sure about this car.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, you got the Optima just looks cool. It almost looks like it's related to the Maxima, right? And then you got the Stinger, which is like just, relatively powerful vehicle, and then in front it says Kia, and it's just like that don't work for me. That doesn't work for me.
Nah, the Kia. I mean, it some of their cars actually Kia. What's some of those lower end ones? Kia,
the Rio.
No, but like what other brands are in the Kia? The Kia category of in terms of their positioning, like who they're positioned for.
I'm trying to think.
You have Hyundai, you have Kia. Because Honda I think is slightly above those two.
But Kia is kind of like transforming out of that like Scion space into like a Honda space. They were like the little small entry level car thing with a jazzy look, and now they're kind of becoming a legitimate. They're making really legitimate offerings with some quality vehicles. I've never heard anybody. I think I've watched Motor Week a couple of times, and they had good things to say about Kias. It's just that name.
Because Hyundai has that Hyundai Genesis. But
they really haven't developed that, because that was supposed to be like the Infinity to their, like Nissan has Infinity.
Yeah, but look at the price tag of the Hyundai Genesis, because and that's the thing. I think they should have just come out and just called it Genesis rather than Hyundai.
That's what I'm saying.
Genesis,
that's
because
what I'm saying.
just like how Lexus is a sub brand of Toyota, Infinity is a sub brand of Nissan, and in Japan they don't have the two. Like it's all just Toyota. It's all just Nissan.
Well, yeah.
But here you can't sell somebody a high end Toyota. It's like But now if you call it a Lexus, all of a sudden now it's more interesting. And I think that
it's so interesting. People name their children after that.
Now that's hilarious. But the Hyundai Genesis, I think that the mistake they made was actually leaving the Hyundai part. I think if they had just come out with another car called Genesis, they kind of
did that.
They could, but I don't know. I still, when I see it, and it looks nice. I'm not going to dispute any of that.
I mean, for like a couple years, like when they first came out, they were like Hyundai Genesis. Then for like 2 years, they were just Genesis. And now they're back to Hyundai Genesis. Like they don't know what they want to do with this thing. And if there's going to be Genesis and have the Genesis LX42, the Genesis 2158. Like, make it its own separate thing. Because if I told somebody right now, yeah, I got a Genesis, they would say, well, who makes that? They don't recognize that as its own brand.
Yeah, but I think
You know?
that once you, because again, all this branding is really about perception. So it's what the customer thinks about you without you telling them what you want them to think. So when I hear Kia, because I like the car, it looks nice. But then when I see the price tag, my brain immediately reverts to, oh, this is a Kia. That's too much for a Kia. Because they've already said Kia. And I already associate the Kia brand with inexpensive automobiles. Whilst I associate Lexus with pricier automobiles or Infiniti. Even though I don't put Infiniti as the same category, even though it's a luxury car, I don't put it in the same. It still doesn't have the same weight as a Benz. I don't even Audi. Like, Audi's been around for a long time, and Audi is a high-end luxury brand. But for some reason, I still don't put it in the same category as Mercedes. I see it as it's up there, but it's not in my mind the same. But it's a fantastic car.
They're more performance-driven than luxury.
Yeah.
You know.
But it's sold as a luxury car. It's branded as a luxury car.
But
I'm just saying with the Genesis I don't even see it anywhere near. But yet when you look at the price tag, I sort of get that, well, this is a Kia. Why is it so expensive? So it just goes to show, when you come out with a product or a brand or something that you're trying to cultivate, that's why they talk about the 4 elements of the marketing mix: product, pricing, underline, placement, and promotion. Let's go back to pricing. If you don't price it correctly, or you pricing it where, we're giving discounts, these people, those categories don't give discounts. It's high, it's expensive, and you're getting something exclusive. And if you can't buy it, you can't afford it, you go find a way to do it. Don't come back here. There's no discounts. It's and again, people don't understand that when they're starting out. They're like, oh, well, let's discount it, or let's be more flexible on the price. No, do not be flexible on the price. This is what it is. This is what you get when you come here. This is the price point that we feel best reflects the quality that we're offering. And, it's either a take it or leave it kind of deal. And a lot of people, unfortunately, starting out don't do that. And they, no pun intended, price themselves out of the position they want to be in. Because once somebody associates a price with your product, like we were just talking about with Kia, every time I see Genesis, it looks nice, but when I look at the price, I'm like, this is a Kia. I'm not paying that much for it. What are you going to ask?
Let me ask, how much of that is a lack of confidence in what you're bringing to market?
I'd say about 70% of it is a lack of confidence, because a lot of people sometimes in their mind, they think, well, I want this, but maybe I don't deserve it. I want to charge this amount, but maybe I don't deserve to be paid that. And
isn't that evident in the product when you see it? Like, they don't even believe in their own shit.
Well, in Kia's case, I'd say it's evident because they called it Kia. Now, if they'd said, okay, we're coming out with this expensive luxury car that we want to compete with Lexus and all the other big boys, there's not going to be one word of Kia anywhere near this car. In fact, you're going to have to do some research to find out that this is even associated or affiliated with Kia. But they didn't do that. They came out with the Kia Genesis. And you go buy it at a Kia dealership.
Yeah.
When you buy a Lexus, you don't go buy it at a Toyota dealership. You go to the Lexus dealership to buy a Lexus.
And if you squint, that Genesis look like a Benz. So
yes, it does. Yes, it does. Yeah, the back, the lights.
The 300 look like a Bentley.
Until a Bentley pulls up next to you, then you realize that you driving some bullshit. It's all good until a real Bentley or Phantom pulls right up. Then you're like, oh this is. Let me turn the corner. Let me turn the corner here. I don't want to be seen on the same road with this car. Yeah,
but that's when you just look at them and say, "Made in America."
Yeah.
Made in America.
Next
America
time.
made.
Next time we'll talk about brand voice, and then we'll talk about like the America part and the pronunciation and how your brand should actually have a voice and how your brand should have an accent. And people are talking about, I'm not going to get into it now, but people are like, what do you mean your brand should have an accent? Well, anybody who asking that question, stay tuned for the next episode. We're going to talk about brands and accents, and you're going to be surprised how many brands not only have voices but have accents. And on that note,
Right. Hey, and until
wrap
then,
this up here.
it's still your motherfucking set. Now get that CBD infused salad dressing made, because I'm hungry.
CT Fletcher before weed, hilarious. All right, man. So we're gonna wrap this up here. Thank you all for joining us. Catch us again on the next episode. Like I said, we're going to talk about America and the way brands and accents go together. And until then, take some CBD to cope with the news, and and we'll be back. All right, people. Peace.